Today, I wanted to talk about some underrated and underappreciated Nintendo Wii games that I would love to see on the Nintendo Switch, where they can hopefully captivate a whole new audience. Without further ado, I will jump right in. The first game I wanted to talk about was The Last Story. This game was like sort of the swan song for the Wii. It came out at the very end of its life cycle. It wasn't long after that the Wii U launched, and this game got looked over, especially in the US. First off, it was actually surprising that this game came to America at all. As I said, it came at the end of the Wii's life cycle, and as you know, it's like toward the end of the Wii's life cycle, there wasn't a lot of people buying Wii games. Sure, the hardware sold a whole bunch, but the software died off fairly fast, not too fast, but it definitely wasn't thriving around this time. In Japan, however, things are always a little bit different. The Wii was still doing well, and it was receiving JRPGs like this, sort of how the Vita is still. Like, the Vita still has its audience in Japan, whereas in the US, it's a really niche audience. So like I said, The Last Story was one of the final big Japanese releases that was on Nintendo Wii. Now, one thing that a lot of JRPGs catch a lot of flack for is their convoluted stories and unrelatable characters, and that's where The Last Story is different. You're actually getting interesting and intriguing characters with backstories that are fun to learn about, and you're getting side quests that are also fun to play through. Not only that, but the main story actually sinks its claws into you, so don't be surprised if you jump into this game and are actually enamored by the story. What's noticeably different about The Last Story is the fact that it's a more linear experience in comparison to today's games, RPGs, JRPGs, where we're usually given huge worlds to go explore in. This is more of a story-driven, linear game, and that's pretty rare for a Japanese role-playing game. So while there isn't really a sense of exploration, you're given smaller, compact worlds that were more thoughtfully crafted, and each new area looks wildly different from the last, with side quests and side objectives aplenty. But the fact that this is a Japanese role-playing game that offers a more linear experience, it's an awesome change of pace for the genre, and I wish more games today did it. Not everyone has 50 to 100 to 500 hours to dedicate themselves to Japanese role-playing games, but they still want to dabble in the genre. So while it may have been hardware constraints, the fact that the Nintendo Wii hardware couldn't really handle playing giant open-world games may have worked to this game's strengths. The next game I wanted to talk about is called Muramasa the Demon Blade. This is a side-scrolling action beat-em-up that offers RPG elements and a gorgeous art style. Muramasa is arguably the most visual impressive game that ever released on the Nintendo Wii. It didn't push the hardware or anything like Super Mario Galaxy, but rather showcases a gorgeous 2D art style that will have you in awe from start to finish. Graphics aside, Muramasa is equipped with an action-packed adventure with tons of areas to explore and thousands of baddies to kill. So this one's actually cheating because it did actually get another life on the PlayStation Vita. But as you know, the PlayStation Vita didn't really sell like hotcakes, so a lot of gamers still may have missed out on this spectacular action RPG. The studio has gone on to make incredible games like Dragon's Crown and the fantastically done remake of Odin Sphere Lefrasier. With the upcoming release of developer Vanillaware's next game, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, I think it would be great of them to bring their awesome titles like Muramasa and Odin Sphere to the Nintendo Switch. The PlayStation Vita version of Muramasa came packed with new content. It would be awesome of Vanillaware to include that in the package on Nintendo Switch. I have a feeling that we're going to see these games launched on the platform sooner or later, as these are the types of experience that are currently thriving on Switch and getting higher software sales than on any other platform. I can't recommend it enough, and it's honestly one of my favorite Wii games that ever existed. If you still have a Wii or Wii U, I highly recommend checking it out. You can find it at GameStop for cheap, if you can find a physical copy, that is. The last game I wanted to talk about is Sin and Punishment: Star's Successor. This is a game that no one really expected to come to the West, mainly because the original title that launched on Nintendo 64 only released in Japan and didn't get an American release of any sort until it hit Virtual Console on Wii U. The reason why I wanted to talk about this game is because it's sort of different for me. I didn't play it back when it was on the Wii or when it originally launched. I actually picked it up recently in the past few months and played it on my Wii U. Now, I'm not sure if you know this, but this is a series that's actually published by Nintendo, and the main character of the original actually shows up as a side character in Smash Brothers. Not sure if he's in the new one, but you have seen him in the past. It sort of boggles my mind why these titles didn't really catch fire in the West, considering how action heavy they are and pretty damn cinematic. They're honestly unlike anything Nintendo has ever done. If you don't know how the gameplay works, then let me explain a little bit. So what's really odd about Sin and Punishment is that you're on rails, but it doesn't really feel like you are because you have full control of your your character with the left stick. As the environments change around you, you can choose to fly or run, plus do melee attacks to nearby enemies. Then it's all motion controls aside from that. Of course it wasn't on the N64, but on the Wii it actually works out great. I think this is a motion controlled game that would actually work out splendidly on the Nintendo Switch. As you know, the Switch uses gyro function, so this is a game that they could port over without too big of a hassle, it seems like at least. I'm no development expert or anything. The original and Star Successor are two titles that push the hardware that they were released on. I'm going to show a little bit of Nintendo 64 gameplay right now so you can see just how grand this series looked on such old hardware. And as you see right now, the Wii version still looks great as well. I would love to see this underrated Wii gem up-res to HD and playing better than ever. This isn't really a game you play for the story, it's more about the pure action set pieces. It's non-stop adrenaline from start to finish, and you'll constantly be impressed by the cinematic moments. I can't recommend this game enough. It holds up perfectly in 2018. Like I said, I didn't play it until recently, and I was impressed with the entire game. But a little side note, I enjoy playing Wii games on the Wii U gamepad, and keep in mind, you can't use the actual Wii U gamepad's buttons, you have to use the nunchuck and Wii remote and point at the Wii U screen. But honestly, I think this is the best way to play Wii games because the resolution isn't noticeably terrible on a smaller screen. Crank that brightness up, sit yourself in a dark room, and enjoy Wii games without cringing at the terrible resolution. Those are the 3 games that I wanted to talk about, but be sure to let me know some underrated Wii gems that you would love to see have a second life on Nintendo Switch. Sorry I'm talking a little bit quiet today. Everyone is still asleep in my house. It is very early here, and sorry if I sound a little bit too tired, but I wanted to get this more simple video out because I'm working on some bigger stuff that I'm excited to bring out in the future. It's going to be a few days, but I hope you look forward to it, and be sure to let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'm Brett Medlock, and I will talk to you guys later.
But she's also kinda delicate. Keeps her on top, kinda hard to operate. And I don't care, cause my platinum number's 48. 25 years old, really like the roost, still obsessed with Pokemon.